It is a question that a lot of people have asked me at different points in my life. Of course, some come up with insults out of their hatred and bitterness towards God, and others genuinely want to be logical while trying to validate spiritual things with their carnal abilities. One common thing they say is more like, why is it that everything you believe in is based on biblical stories and principles? And I agree with them, because if I don't stand for something, I will definitely fall for anything.
Yes.
You know, it's high time we realize that the Bible is not a storybook, a novel, or a fairy tale, but a spiritually orchestrated documentation of realities.
Yeah.
From Genesis to Revelation, it talks about only one character, and that's Christ. The entirety of the scriptures evolves around him, and it doesn't end there. Anything and everything, both the thinkable and unthinkable,
That's right.
are properly orchestrated and sustained by Christ as designed by the Father. Colossians 1:16 and 17, of course, one of my favorite verses, reveals that in him all things were created.
Yes.
Things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones, dominions, powers, rulers, authorities, all things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together.
Sure.
So do I really have a choice when it comes to whom to worship? Okay, back to analyzing the Bible and how it makes sense even to the common man who is struggling to believe. 66 books were written by over 40 different writers from 3 different continents and 3 different languages.
Okay.
Among these writers are kings, prisoners, soldiers, shepherds, physicians, farmers, tax collectors, passers-by, and different categories of people who don't even know each other or speak the same language. And you put all their books together for over 15 centuries. That's 1500 years. Also consider the fact that many of these guys lived in generations centuries apart and did not even know what some other person had written. So between you and I, how do you connect this scattered puzzle of centuries apart and expect it to make any sense? How are we able to find Jesus the Christ as the equilibrium point of every single page of 66 chapters that make up the Bible? Yet we are struggling to believe in its validity. Even historians that don't believe in God say that 39 books of the Old Testament captures 1100 years. Now, the last book of the Old Testament was written 400 years before Jesus was even born here on earth.
True.
Yet they all connect together, and then we think it's a coincidence. 400 years before today, none of us here had even existed on earth.
Yeah.
And according to the Guinness World Records, Maria Morera is the oldest person on earth officially from September 2023, and she was born 1907. That's about 117 years today. The oldest person verified to have lived in our own generation is Jane Calment, if I get the name right, and she lived for 121 years. Well, that may be debatable, but my point is that 400 years is a very long time for any man to sustain a fabricated idea. The Bible, the scriptures, has been provided by God for man to know him more, and the validity cannot be questioned if you pay attention.